Imagine waking up to the headlines screaming about a stock market crash, panic, fear. But what if I told you this chaos is part of a grander design? Today, we're diving deep into President Trump's bold economic maneuvers, moves that might seem reckless, but are in fact calculated, a step towards revitalizing our nation's economy. By the end of this video, you'll understand why these market trimmers are not just necessary, but pivotal in making America great again. Miss this, and you'll miss the essence of a strategy that's reshaping our economic landscape. And don't get me wrong, I'm not on anyone's sides. I don't care if you like Trump or you don't. But if you understand what's actually happening in our country right now, it not only make you a smarter business owner, but can make you a ton of money. Chapter 1, the crash that wasn't an accident. Let's rewind the clock. March 2025. The US stock market doesn't just dip, it nosedives. We're talking a $4 trillion drop, wiped clean like it's never real to begin with. In just a few days, portfolios get gutted. Investor sentiment hits the floor. And if you're paying attention, every news cycle starts sounding like a funeral. Recession looming, global markets shaken, a new era of economic uncertainty begins. Meanwhile, President Trump, he stands calm, collected, almost smug. If we're being honest, and in the middle of that chaos, with everyone screaming for calm and stability, he doubles down, launching a fresh round of tariffs on key US trading partners: Canada, Mexico, China. 3 massive economies, 3 critical supply lines. And in one press conference, he slaps all of them across the face. To the untrained eye, it looks like madness. Like he's trying to accelerate the crash. Like he's staring straight into the storm with a smirk on his face. And honestly, if you're thinking like a trader, yeah, it's insane. But if you're thinking like Trump, it's exactly on brand. Because this isn't reckless, it's calculated chaos. It's disruption disguised as diplomacy. A power play dressed up in a policy language. And while the market's real, while investors scramble to interpret what the hell is actually happening, Trump does what he always does best: make noise to draw fire, while making moves behind the curtain. See, Trump's economic philosophy doesn't follow the market logic most of us are used to. He's not optimizing for Wall Street confidence or quarterly performance. He plays a long game rooted in leverage, confrontation, and control. And whether you love him or hate him, this is a man who doesn't fear volatility. He weaponizes it. In Trump's world, panic isn't a problem, it's pressure. And pressure is how you get people to move, how you break trade deals, how you rewire dependencies, how you force the hand of your allies and your enemies. So when he triggers fear in the market, it's not just collateral, it's currency. It's the bargaining chip that makes people take his threats seriously. But here's the disconnect. Markets don't run on threat. They run on trust, on pattern recognition, on forecastability, on subtle signals that tell the smart money where to go. So when you take a system built on quiet confidence and you inject it with a megaphone full of unpredictability, you don't just get noise, you get shockwaves. And that's what we see in March. It isn't just a dip, it's a shift, a deep fracture in the psychological foundation of the market. Because whether you agree with the tariffs or not, the signal is loud and very clear. Trump's not trying to protect the market, he's trying to rebuild the rules from scratch. And he doesn't mind breaking some bones to do that. So now the question isn't just, why does the market crash? The question is, why would a leader intentionally rattle the global economy? What's the bigger strategy? And how the hell do you protect your business when power starts playing chicken with capital? Chapter 2, creative destruction. To really understand what Trump is doing, we need to talk about something economists have known for almost a century, but most business leaders still don't fully grasp: creative destruction. Don't let that phrase fool you. This isn't about blowing things up for the sake of chaos. It's about renewal, violent, painful, necessary renewal. It's the idea that in order for innovation to rise, something old has to die. Not just be tweaked, not improved, dismantled, replaced, and burned down so something better can grow. It's the reason Blockbuster didn't survive Netflix. It's the reason taxis lose to Uber. It's the reason why every major innovation, every real shift in every industry comes not from improving what is, but from breaking it down and starting over again. And that's exactly the lens you have to apply when looking at Trump's tariffs. Because this isn't a typical economic move. This isn't about the numbers on spreadsheet or correcting a trade deficit. It's a shot across the bow of globalization itself. By hitting Canada, Mexico, and China, all major partners, Trump isn't just testing trade relationships, he's testing the entire foundation of American independence. Dependency on foreign steel, on foreign cars, on foreign tech. Things we outsourced for decades in the name of efficiency, even if it hollows out the heart of our domestic industries. His message is simple, even if it's brutal. If you want American jobs, you need American production. If you want American power, you need American supply chains. And if that means ripping apart decades of international reliance to do it, so be it. Now let's be clear. Critics aren't wrong to sound the alarm. Tariffs bring friction. They raise costs. They strain alliances. Imports get more expensive, and guess who pays the difference? You do. The consumer, the entrepreneur, the small business. That's the short-term pain. It's real. Industries feel it, retail feels it, the average household is gonna feel it. And the media, they're gonna make sure you feel it. But what almost nobody talks about is the horizon. Because Trump isn't optimizing for Q2 results. He's trying to plant seeds that won't sprout until Q8. And most of the people don't have the patience to wait that long. That's the paradox of creative destruction. It looks like chaos at the moment, but it's a correction in disguise. And to someone watching without context, it looks like the president is self-sabotaging. But to someone watching with leverage in mind, it looks like a deep reset, a forced reckoning designed to unearth something more stable, more sovereign, and more American. So here's the real question. Is the upheaval a mistake? Or is it the mechanism, the economic defib, meant to shock the system away? Because maybe that pain isn't collateral. Maybe it's the price, the sacrifice baked into the strategy. Not because it's nice, but because it's necessary. This is where most people get it wrong in business too. They think growth means adding, but most growth starts with the removal, cutting, burning, and resetting. And that's what creative destruction is. It's pruning the dead wood so something else can thrive. So the tariffs, they aren't random. They're disruptive by design. Not just to challenge the world, but to challenge us. To stop leaning on cheap imports. To stop offloading risks. To stop building systems that look sleek but break under pressure. So the real question becomes, is this economic pain just a side effect of ego-driven policy? Or is it the exact pressure needed to break the old model and make space for something that actually lasts? Chapter 3, history always breaks first. Does history repeat itself? When you study markets, power shifts, and transformations across time, you start to see that every era of growth is born from a season of upheaval. It's never clean, it's never comfortable, and it sure as hell isn't polite. Look at the early 1900s, when the US transitioned from an agrarian economy to an industrial powerhouse. This doesn't happen because everyone agrees on it in a meeting. It happens because systems break, because factories displace farms, because machines replace labor, because markets panic, the price shifts, and people either adapt or they get left behind. It's not linear, it's jagged, messy, loud, violent, and in economic swings. And yet, we come out stronger, more productive, more scalable, and more independent. But that strength doesn't come from comfort, it comes from friction. That's the same logic that Trump taps into, whether he says it out loud or not. He's not trying to patch a leak. He's trying to rebuild our entire pipeline. He wants to shock the system, not because he doesn't care about the fallout, but because he believes that the only pressure produces clarity. Only discomfort reignites domestic urgency. Only volatility changes a system that's gotten too complacent for its own good. But here's where the resistance kicks in. Markets hate uncertainty. Capital hates confusion. Wall Street doesn't care about long-term sovereignty. It cares about this quarter's return, next quarter's forecast, and next week's headlines. So when you introduce long-term disruption into a system optimized for short-term gain, you get panic. Suddenly the same investors who champion free markets, clutch pearls when tariffs roll in, the same talking heads who praise deregulation scream bloody murder when disruption hits their portfolio. And here's the irony. Every great leap forward in economic history starts with fear, starts with backlash, starts with people saying, you're gonna destroy everything. But sometimes you have to destroy what no longer serves you to make room for what might. So here's the question worth asking. Is discomfort the price we pay for progress? And if so, how many of us are actually willing to pay it? Every storm has a quiet after. And when the economic turbulence finally slows, when headlines calm, something unexpectedly starts to happen beneath the surface, there begins to grow again. Factories that sit dormant for years flicker back to life. Local supply chains that get offshored in the name of efficiency now rebuild for resilience. Industries that limp along, textiles, steel, and electronics, start to stabilize, then scale. You see it in data first. Manufacturing output climbs. Regional job reports show spike in sectors that most people write off as dead. And then you see it on the ground. New hiring signs, revived towns, a tangible sense that made the chaos have a purpose. Investors who panic during the drop, those who would sell at the bottom, they miss the rebound. But those who hold, those who understand the principle of short-term volatility for long-term sovereignty, they're the ones who reap the upside. Because the market, despite all of its whining about disruption, loves a strong foundation. And once the uncertainty is priced in, once the dust settles, once the direction becomes clear, the capital flows back in, and it flows fast. This isn't about sudden miracles. It's about the compounding effect of intention, a strategy that forces short-term discomfort in order to force long-term realignment, not just for the sake of numbers, but for the structure underneath those numbers. President Trump bets that America can stomach short-term economic pain if the result is a stronger, more sovereign industrial base. And as the signs of life start showing up, from jobs to production to growth, it starts to look like that bet actually pays off. But let's be clear, this isn't a happy ending. This is a strategic rebound. And rebounds only matter if you learn something during the fall. Because it isn't just the economy that's being tested, it's our ability to think long term, to endure the name of building something better, to resist the urge to panic at the first sign of disruption, to understand that sometimes the most powerful growth doesn't come from addition, but it comes from pressure, from subtraction, and from reset. That's what the moment represents, a reassertion of domestic economic strength, a reminder that globalization isn't always the default answer. The national resilience matters, and sometimes what feels like reckless political noise is actually a deeply uncomfortable kind of clarity. For years, we outsource everything, our production, our labor, our risk, and then we act surprised when supply chains crumble, when prices surge, when it turns out that America isn't as self-sufficient as we claim to be. This is the correction. This is the reality check. This is the rebuild. And like most rebuilds, it doesn't feel good in the moment. It feels heavy, confusing, costly. But now the scaffolding comes down and the structure underneath, it's gonna be stronger. So here's the question that lingers. Was the chaos worth it? Was the storm we sail through just weather? Or is it the exact condition needed to chart a new course? Do the ends justify the turbulence, or does the turbulence teach us how to build something that can finally last? In the grand game of economic power, the boldest players are almost always misunderstood until they work. Trump doesn't crash the market to destroy it, he cracks it open to rebuild what's been rotting underneath for decades. Now standing on the other side, we can see it. Discomfort is the price, disruption is the path, and the reward, a stronger foundation. Because maybe real leadership isn't about protecting what is, maybe it's about having the guts to break it for what could be. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.